like a science nerd, right? If I could say anything, the absolute, I think that the arguments that convinced me most as an intellectual. So let me just say that, like we could share this or whatever. Oh, by the way, they said be careful.
I know.
Okay, all right. The things that, number one, are what I call the argument from precision, right? The universe is so dialed in. There's a great book called, I think it's called like the 13 Numbers That Control the Universe.
You wrote, are those in the notes?
It might be, yeah. But there's an actual book.
Fine structure constant.
Yeah, it's
speed
the
of
fine
light.
structure. Yeah. So there are all these numbers that if they were deviated at all, the universe could not exist. So that alone is pretty staggering. To me, it speaks of intent. Then there's C.S. Lewis's big, huge argument from moral. So there's a moral reason, right? When we get into morals and ethics, there's a great article, but it all comes down to the great says who. Like, to me, that's like, says who?
So
hey, you can't do that. Says who?
So the this
you keep going. I'm going to find that.
Yeah,
book
yeah.
So we can recommend it to
all those
people.
numbers and the constants, like, okay, so I'm looking at these: speed of light, the Planck constant, gravitational constant, electric. So,
Cosmic Numbers by James D. Stein.
So
Cosmic Numbers by James Stein.
the most recent argument, again, for this kind of everything just kind of happened,
Right.
Sort of explanation theory, right? Is okay. That's this universe,
Right.
but there's like an infinite amount of universes. So
Right.
of course, some universes are going to have these numbers, which I think is just so. If you're already thinking that something outside of this universe
Yeah.
can generate infinite amount of things,
then you're already like
you're already believing in like
you're
this
kind of already
giant,
believing in a transcendent creating
superpower,
God.
right?
Yeah.
So
We're just saying it's not a thing. It's a person.
and okay, so like I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist and say that Marvel is introducing, what are all these different universes.
They're not even hiding it anymore.
I'm not gonna suggest that. Right.
There's your screen grab.
But there is that kind of explanation.
Yeah. So I heard it this way. They say if you think of all of reality as a big loaf, we live in a slice.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't either because but even a loaf has parameters. So,
And like the crust.
yeah. Right. Exactly.
So I was listening to a conversation between Neil deGrasse Tyson and Joe Rogan, and he said, I know one of your favorite podcasters.
Yeah.
But he was saying, in one universe, Joe Rogan's bald, Neil deGrasse has hair, and so in one universe you'll have hair and I'll be bald. And I thought that was the most intellectually dishonest thing you could ever say, because the amount of differences that make up the universe and the fact that you're here, like all the different, like if thousands of generations ago or however many that they decided not to get together, like your ancestral grandfather, ancestor, grandmother, they decided not to, make the next generation, so they would have had gotten together with somebody else,
right?
Then it would be totally different.
Yeah, and it's so ridiculous
people.
Because like that argument. Okay, well, multiverse theory. Well, but if you're denying the existence of God or any sort of intended creation, then you're saying that all of reality is an unending cascade of cause and effect, and that all those inevitabilities are dictated. So by that logic, there is no reality in which I don't have a full head of hair, right? Because the laws of the universe have brought me to this point.
If you're determinist.
And you don't
have any free will.
Right, if you have no free will.
Because everything's going to happen.
Because of boom, 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 boom. And if those laws are universal.
But even, I don't even, so that I
there actually couldn't be any other outcomes.
I don't even agree with that, because if you think of like just random, like there's things that are random.
Right.
That we've made random. Like, and those random things would have created other, branching realities.
Yeah.
The fact that you could get to here, like this can't happen in any other universe unless you subscribe to infinite, because infinite can eat that idea for breakfast.
Right.
But okay, so now you believe in infinite, which is this transcendent.
Yeah, you're still back
giant,
to logos essentially.
Yeah, you believe in this being or this
thing,
power, this
like
force.
a logos, this driving animated
Yeah.
force behind the universe.
That's
and John just comes back and says, "You're right," and his name is Jesus.
yeah.
So even if you're all the way out there, that there's this. So I listened to this podcast the other day on what's called panpsychism, which is the idea that all things have consciousness, even at the molecular level, right?
That's kind of crazy.
Oh, it was nuts. It was the most bizarre thing I'd ever
Oh,
heard.
I was about to say, is there some truth to that, or there?
No, I don't think there is.
I don't.
But,
I
you
don't-
know,
yeah.
because
Ow.
stop it. If this, so my 15-year-old,
I'm eating
so
this
funny.
grape.
It's so funny. My 15-year-old was like, that makes no sense because then I'm morally obligated to like, if I break a table, because the table has a level of consciousness,
Or the grape I just ate.
or the grape you just ate, right?
Yeah.
So
How dare
anyway. But you're already there to this great animating driving force behind the universe. They called it consciousness. Aristotle called it the logos. John says it's the revealed God of the Hebrew Bible, and he revealed through Jesus Christ. So trust in him and you can know it.
Yeah, when you're saying that, like I wanted to just jump into, Jesus and Christianity and all that.
yeah.
I know we're gonna Jesus
Yeah.
fixes it is
Yeah.
coming up, and so I just had to be restrained.
Yeah.
there.
No, it's an interesting thing because I think it's how do I want to say this? I think what's unfortunate about this discussion is that there are expressions of Christianity that make you choose between measured quantitative science and faith. And I don't think that's a fair decision. And I don't think it's appropriate for science to say, we've answered your faith question, because you haven't. You may have told me the how, but science will never tell you the why. Science can only tell you the why in terms of cause and effect, but not why in terms of intent and purpose.
Yeah.
It just can't. And by the way, science is not a thing. Science is a process. You can't trust in science like, oh, I trust science, not religion. That makes no sense. Science is a process, and you are imposing some preconceived notions onto that process, so you're going to get consistent outcomes.
The very fact that we want to test and measure things presupposes, or
Hold on. What was it?
it
Yeah, there was a
assumes
quote.
that there is value in things anyway.
Right. So the guy named John Lennox said this: the universe out there and the mind in here that comprehends it are made by the same creator. So the fact that you ask questions, Lennox's argument is the fact that you ask questions of what's out there is proof that somebody put something in here, that there is a connection. And so, yeah, crazy.
One more, G.K. Chesterton. You want to get into that one?
How about this one?
Okay.
If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. That's C.S. Lewis.
About to say. I think
Come
I
on,
know.
let's
yeah.
be honest. When in doubt, it's C.S. Lewis.
When in doubt. Right on.
Why is the universe the way we see it? The answer is this simple. If it had been any different, we would not be here.
That's
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
That's a powerful admission by him, right?
Yeah.
'Cause he's not a theist or
No. Gottfried Leibniz, maybe the smartest man to have ever lived. Why is there something rather than nothing? G.K. Chesterton, it is absurd for and he talks about evolutionists, but I don't want to get into that, but it's absurd for, let's say, the scientific person to complain that it is unthinkable for an admittedly unthinkable God to make everything out of nothing and then pretend that it is more thinkable that nothing should turn itself into everything.
Yeah.
That's big brain thinking. I don't have that. That's just
Is that right?
Chesterton was big brained.
That's where we get Megamind from him.
I think so. And he's just this big, loud, funny guy who kind of looked like William Howard Taft.
G.K. Chesterton?
Oh, yeah, he's great.
I saw a bunch of quotes today, and
Oh, he's a genius.
they're just
And they're vicious.
gold. Yeah,
they're gold.
vicious.
Right.
Gold.
But they're like lovingly vicious, because I don't like being vicious, but they are like, hey. But that one, like why is it more absurd to think that something made something? It seems more absurd to say that nothing made everything.
Yeah.
Which again, smart people believe this. I don't want people to think that we think that. Like, I understand. I'm just saying I don't think it's dumb to believe.
Not unreasonable.
No, it's not. It may be unbelievable, but it's not unreasonable. I will go to the hill on that statement. I understand why Christianity would be unbelievable. I do. But don't ever accuse it of being unreasonable. Ever. Well, it makes sense.
And the scientific community, I mean, to use the word community is
weird.
But at any rate, you know, there was a time where that kind of thinking was persecuted from the, you know, if we're thinking of the church, like church history. So Galileo would be a famous example.
You know, but even that, like, that's a lot more overblown than it really is.
Really?
Yeah, because Galileo, all science started as the endeavor to understand how God created the universe.
Yeah.
All European science, all Western science starts with the idea that the church was encouraging people to go discover how God created the universe. And by the way, Galileo wasn't the first person to think that the sun was the center of the universe.
Copernicus, right?
Yeah, I mean, it had been there. He just sort of proved it. And so there's just a lot of that. That's really overblown. And you know who taught me that? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was imprisoned for that, wasn't he?
Was he in prison for that, or was he in prison for just other worldly things?
Oh, I always
don't know.
My
do your own research.
I guess
Miles.
I'm going to have to. I thought he was imprisoned.
I don't know. I'm starting to speak a little. I'm getting way afield, and I'm going to get checked. So I'm going to stop because I'm starting to say things wrong.
Maybe
I need to reel this back in. But I'm just saying. This was my thing. Like, I tell the story in the first episode about the girl that just like, oh, I don't see you. Blaise Pascal, brilliant Christian. Right? Thomas Aquinas, brilliant Christian. Right? The guy who cured leprosy, Paul Brand, Christian. The guy who ended slavery in the United Kingdom, in the British colonies, William Wilberforce, Christian. Right? Again and again and again and again. It's not Christians saying, oh, this is the worst place in the world, let's give up. It's Christians saying, no, God made this place to be a certain way, and we have to go back and get it. I'm telling you.
Is your soapbox?
Oh, I'm not even started.
Oh, look out. Next episode.
Sin. Coming for you, sinners.